Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Las Vegas Raiders 19-17 on Black Friday. Reviewing that game and the games yesterday on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It was a double Thanksgiving for us. My family yesterday, Kathleen's family today. We actually had my dad's side of the family on Sunday, so I have eaten a lot of turkey, a lot of potatoes, and gravy, and just loved every second of all three of those dinners. I love Thanksgiving. I love the food. I love the football. Man, I mean, we just finished watching the college football, the octuple overtime Georgia Tech game, which was a ton of fun. Though I do feel like the headlines would be like 8 overtimes in a Thanksgiving marathon. It's like, maybe for people who don't know that college football overtime rules, are really a whole overtime period is just 2 plays, two-point conversions. Like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th overtime were a total of 12 plays. But still, it was a classic. You thought Georgia Tech was getting the upset. Georgia storms back, forces overtime, and then overtime is just that battle. Oh, man, great game. And the NFL game had its moments, too. Quite interesting game as the Kansas City Chiefs pull it out, but confidence is low. Structural concerns are mounting with the Kansas City Chiefs as they attempt to win a 3rd Super Bowl in a row. And it started really, really well for the Chiefs. It felt like they had it handled, like they're like, okay, we're not running away with this, because the 2024 Chiefs don't really shock people off of the scoreboard. That just doesn't happen anymore. But we're handling the Raiders. What happened last week on Sunday against Carolina, yes, they won, but it felt like they suffered that victory. Like Andy Reid's tone post-game after the Chiefs needed a last-second field goal to beat the lowly Carolina Panthers, Andy Reid's tone was that of a crushing loss. They'd just gone to 10-1, and it was somber. And so you're thinking, okay, they took that, and they're like, no, we're not going to let another bottom-dweller team Raiders embarrass us. They got the initial first drive was really powerful. It did stall for a field goal. Then they got a touchdown where Mahomes passed up Len Dawson for the career passing touchdowns leader for the Kansas City Chiefs, a franchise record. And that was pretty cool. It's like Mahomes has been on such a blistering start that you're like, okay, wow. So he didn't pass that already. It's like, okay, Len Dawson deserves a little bit of respect. A great quarterback who lost Super Bowl I, won Super Bowl IV, was a legend. I mean, Len Dawson was, he finished 6th on the career leaderboards in his time. So he retired in 75 or 74. He was 6th all time in passing touchdowns. So this is not some random quarterback. This is a Hall of Fame quarterback that Mahomes passed for the franchise record. Dawson was top 10 career passing touchdowns all the way until 1996 when Elway passed him to go into the top 10. So, good name. And Len Dawson never threw a single completion on Black Friday. Not a single one. Never took a snap on Amazon Prime. But much like the Carolina game, the party didn't happen. It felt like the Chiefs were just going to run away, and they just didn't. And they couldn't hit the gas. Not that they were bored and not hitting the gas, but that they couldn't hit the gas, if that makes sense. The Raiders started to become the better team. The second half, all of a sudden Aiden O'Connell, just like Bryce Young on Sunday, he's shredding through the Chiefs defense. And the Chiefs offense is unironically struggling. Like, it's not the last 2 years. 2022 and 2023, Chiefs offensive struggles have been big narratives, but they've been like struggles compared to 2018, 2019, those huge big number days, the Tyreek Hill days. This is like actual offensive struggle. They could not put this game away or help their defense at all. So the third quarter, Raiders, they started to make some big plays. They had 3 big drives down to the red zone. One of them ended in turnover on downs, and then one of them was a 58-yard touchdown to Trey Tucker. But they get the Bowers touchdown. Brock Bowers looks freaking good, by the way. They get the Trey Tucker touchdown. Raiders go ahead to start the fourth quarter. The Raiders went ahead in this game. It's like, where did the Chiefs offense go? They just took the third quarter off and most of the fourth quarter. Because although they got a field goal and put the Chiefs back up 19-17, they had a chance with 5 minutes to go to either get some points or waste some clock. They didn't. They punted it. Then they got the ball back with 3 minutes to go. They didn't do anything. They didn't get a first down. They punted it. So the Chiefs defense, for a third time, had to win this game. We'll do it live! Except the Raiders got it going. So this is fun on Amazon Prime. Like, this was a good game. And you're thinking maybe Antonio Pierce, maybe his legacy can be beating the Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes Chiefs on holidays, because they did win that Christmas Day game last year. And Aiden O'Connell gets it going. They start from their own 8 inside 2 minutes. They need a field goal to win, and they drive it across midfield to the Kansas City 32. So, I mean, what is that? That's 50, 55 yards, and their kicker had been missing kicks, so they wanted some more yards, but it felt pretty realistic. The Raiders are going to get a good, solid chance at a field goal that will win this game. Except 3rd and 2. With 15 seconds left, O'Connell's not looking at the snap. It bounces off him. Kansas City recovers. It's not immediately apparent that Kansas City has won the game because we have these long penalty discussions. There's a lot of weird stuff in this game. And it was a false start or was an illegal shift. Turns out it was an illegal shift. And the Chiefs recovered and therefore won the game. And that was just a really clunky end. I didn't fully understand that it was an illegal shift. I thought it was a false start, but the play wasn't blown dead. So that kind of lends credence to the ref side of it. And like the Raiders, like they're kind of going off online like this is some sort of conspiracy theory. It just all rings a little hollow. The play wasn't blown dead. False starts are blown dead. Illegal shifts aren't. I mean, come on. The play happened and you fumbled and lost the ball. Like, that's the bigger issue. But yeah, Raiders lost their chance at that one little legacy punch, and the Chiefs at 11-1, they clinched the playoffs, but they look tired. Not bored. Tired. Sure, it can flip back on, but they look like the worst 11-1 team you've ever seen. It reminds me of the 11-0 Steelers, or I guess 11-1 as well, in 2020. I think we all know what we're looking at. We're looking at a Goliath, and we know the end of this story. Mukilteo Football Show. The show is football, everything NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of a season. We got shows Sunday, Monday, and Thursday after the prime time games. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. So recapping Thanksgiving as well, all of the Thursday games. Obviously, the biggest story ended up being the first game, the Detroit Lions. The Lions have been carrying Thanksgiving lately. They had the classic game with the Bills. The Bills won that game, but it was a great game with the Diggs, Allen to Diggs last-second drive that set up a field goal, and then Green Bay had a big show-out moment, also at the Lions' expense, But those were great, entertaining game to watch. So good for Detroit to finally get a win in the Dan Campbell era, considering how good it's been the last 2 years, and just to make the must-watch TV like that. The Lions game used to be the game you skip. The Lions game used to be the game that you make the potatoes during, but now it's the one that matters. Though I did continue to make the potatoes during this game. How would I shuffle the whole family schedule around that? But we'll come back to that game. The others, kind of duds. Cowboys, Giants, felt like a low point. It's Drew Lock versus Cooper Rush. A young man's dream, as Kirk and I called it, but kind of a ghostly shadow of the Thanksgiving matchup just 2 years ago. Just 2 years ago in 2022, the Giants and Cowboys were both on their way to the playoffs, 7-4, 8-3. Daniel Jones versus Dak Prescott. That game had a lot more juice to it. This one, it caught our attention a few times. There was a pick six. Drew Lock threw, kind of a screen pass, and the Cowboys defender DeMarvion Overshone made a great play. It was a fun pick six to watch, and there seemed to be a play. I think it was the start of the third quarter. The Cowboys, they were up 3. They drove all the way down the field, and they're at the 1 yard line. Cooper Rush fumbles into the end zone, and the Giants recover it. And so you're thinking, okay, we may have a game here, because the Cowboys' big drive just got nullified by this fumble into the end zone. But it was overturned. Rush hits Brandon Cooks for a touchdown right after that. Pretty much ended the interest in the game, and so, and the night game, the Packers just handled the Dolphins in Lambeau Field. Yes, Tua threw for 365 yards, but it never really felt like he threatened to win this game. I mean, that's the Tua Tagovailoa special. The only thing you need to stop Tua is for the play to matter. He's like a garbage time NBA scorer. Like you sometimes watch him and you wonder, why doesn't this guy matter? He's so good. But when it matters, when the crunch time comes, Tua not going to get it done. Packers, good for them. They're feeling good. They felt good last Thanksgiving when they got that victory over the Lions and just kind of started their hot streak that I thought honestly could have ended in the Super Bowl if they had gotten past the 49ers there. But maybe this will start another hot streak. Jordan Love got his turkey leg. They said I guess he didn't get one last time, so good for him. The Packers just looked like the better team. There was something kind of cool to watch Thanksgiving football, this American holiday in Wisconsin with all the drunken Packer fans on Thanksgiving night in Lambeau Field. That was fun. And of course, Packers fans already had a good morning because the Bears had the huge headline of the day. Yeah. It was Bears breaking point. Matt Eberflus has been fired because of this game, and really the last 3 games. What a hat trick of pain that came from week 11, 12, and 13 here. 3 games in a row, all to division rivals. A missed field goal that would have beaten the Packers. That was a loss in week 11. A historic comeback, coming down from 11 points inside of 2 minutes, forcing an overtime, but then losing in overtime to the Vikings. And now this Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, in which the Bears offense was completely toast. They came back. They fought through this game, and they were on their way. All these games really felt like the triumphant moment for Caleb Williams and these Bears. And this one fizzled away just like the others. This one the most dramatically. because they drove the field from the 1 yard line. This drive that ends in this famous, or soon to be famous, blunder, wasting the last 30 seconds of the game, started on the 1 yard line, needing a touchdown to win and a field goal to send it to overtime. They were definitely thinking touchdown. There was 3 minutes, 31 seconds left. They had all 3 of their timeouts. Those would be important. They burned one on 3rd and 7 right from the get-go. But then the play after it, they got a DJ Moore 25-yard pass. So you could say maybe they dialed something up there. Maybe that was worth it to burn the timeout. Caleb Williams, 14 yards to DJ Moore, 13-yard scramble. There's a pass interference. There was all sorts of stuff that gets the Bears to the Detroit 25. I mean, an absolute clinic they had put on. Sure, I mean, you can argue some of the pass interference. They look like pass interference to me. But the Caleb Williams had driven them down the field from the 1 yard line to the 25-yard line. Comfortable field goal range, 43 seconds left. Let's take some shots, try to win this game. The Lions are the favorites in the NFC. We're the Bears. We need something. And you had just seen against the Packers, Eberflus's pure cowardice. When he got into this position, he, and of course that wasn't for overtime, but he didn't even try for the touchdown. Just ran it, kneeled it out, trusted the kicker. Kicker missed. In this case, they were full go for the touchdown. And it ends up being, of course, an offensive penalty, sets him back 10 yards. Then Caleb Williams gets sacked by Zadarius Smith. So that was like at the 40-yard line, 41-yard line. So they're at the 25. Now they're way back, quite a bit back. There is 32 seconds when this play ends. And the clock ticks all the way down to inside 6 seconds. Caleb Williams has nothing else to do but huck it deep to Rome Odunze. Incomplete. The Bears lose. They don't get the field goal for overtime, and they don't get, a Hail Mary type of thing, and they just lose with the one timeout still in their pocket. They use the second timeout somewhere after an incomplete pass to avoid a delay of game. That's also important. So just complete incompetence at the end of this game. I broke that down just to show how bad it is. It's so bad. And it's not just the last play. The last play is getting all the talk. I mean, just absolutely all of it. I mean, I think there's a little hypocrisy in it. Like everyone's saying, it was so obvious to do blank. But it's like, I don't know, there's kind of two different things people were saying in the moment and were even saying after. Like, some people said they should have called a timeout right after the sack. 32 seconds, final timeout, assess the situation and go. In the moment, I did not think that. I thought they were right to not call the timeout. Get back there, run a play, have the whole field available to you, and then call the timeout and kick that field goal. Because you're probably going to get something in the middle of the field because you have that timeout, because the Lions have to protect the deep shot, the dreaded, walk-off touchdown. So you think, okay, they're going to get something, call timeout. But the clock kept going. Once it hit 20 seconds, 19 seconds, 18 seconds, you have to call the timeout at that point. 18 seconds, 70 seconds. Then Caleb Williams is trying to change the play because he knows that they have to shoot for the end zone because they're not going to have enough time to run another play. And did he not know that they had a timeout? That's possible. He is a rookie after all. Maybe he didn't know that they had one more timeout. But there's a little bit of fan hypocrisy. Like, even when you watch things, they're like, call a timeout. Like, no, don't call a timeout. Like, call a timeout. Go to call a timeout. Like, there's also, dial back the incredulity. I don't even know if that's a word. It's not the dumbest thing to happen in human history. It's a panic moment for Caleb Williams not processing correctly, and Matt Eberflus was trying to run the play and then call timeout. The egregious thing to me is that once it was obvious that they weren't going to get to run the play, he needed to call a timeout there. And the uber egregious thing to me is that as they walked into the locker room with a freaking timeout in their pocket, there's still a timeout to give. They had burned 2 on that drive. They walked in the locker room with a timeout in their pocket. They didn't even get to attempt a game-tying field goal, much less shoot for the game win. He gets up on the podium and he says he likes what they did there. That's egregious. Uber egregious. That got you fired, Eberflus. That's ridiculous. The team has been disorganized. The Hail Mary, of course, was one of the biggest plays of the year when the Commanders beat the Bears on a Hail Mary. That was coaching too, a disorganized secondary. They gave up a 12-yard out route for no reason, and Eberflus said it doesn't matter. It mattered. It really mattered. He did not accept. He's been throwing players under the bus. He's a horrible leader, horrible coach. This happens. It's fine. But the audacity to say he liked it, what he did there, when they didn't even get a kickoff. They didn't even get a kick off the foot of their kicker to try and tie this game and send it into overtime when they were at the 25-yard line and had a timeout that they didn't even use. Insanity to me. And that'll be the big remember. And I feel bad for the Lions because the Lions are kind of overshadowed. They're the ones who shut down Caleb Williams in the first half. They're the ones who have that offense that keeps humming. Yes, didn't quite get their red zone success today, but that's an outlier. Let's not panic on that. The problem for the Lions is all their injuries. Their defensive injuries. This is kind of feeling, a little bit like the Chiefs. Like maybe the favorites on paper might not be the favorites when we actually get to January, but it was really nice to see the Lions, first of all, get a win on Thanksgiving, and things just continue to go well for that offense. I know they didn't have their best day, and Jahmyr Gibbs had probably his worst game as a pro, but he still flashed off the screen. So did St. Brown. So did Laporta. So did Montgomery. So did that freaking offensive line. Like, the Lions' offense is something to reckon with in the Super Bowl. It was fun to watch it as we began our 2-day feasting here at the McGilvery house. All right. I'll be back Sunday night. My name is Miles. A good night.